Today, sir, we are debating our Conservative motion that given that the Auditor General found that the ArriveCan contractor, GC Strategies, was paid $64 million, and in many cases, no proof that any work was completed, the House calls on the government to get taxpayers their money back within 100 days of the adoption of this motion, and 2, impose a lifetime contracting ban on GC Strategies, their subsidiaries, but more importantly, its founders, its principal partners, Christian Firth and Darren Anthony, and any other entities with which those individuals are affiliated. Simple message is Canadians want their taxpayer money back. I know that the member for Winnipeg North claims that no one in his riding spoke about the ArriveCan, but I'm sure they talked about accountability and transparency and proper prudence of the government exercising that prudence over taxpayer money. He won't talk about that, but that's exactly what this motion is about. And if this is a deja vu moment, because it feels like a deja vu moment for me, is approximately 15 months ago, I stood before you, your predecessor in that chair, and was giving a speech on a similar motion. It wasn't worded in the same fashion, Mr. Speaker, but the intent was there that gave the government 100 days to inform the House as to how and what steps they would take to get taxpayers their money back. That was a result of the Auditor General releasing a number of damning reports. And it's important to note at this point is that the Liberal government, this same so-called new government with the same old players who are now saying through the Prime Minister that they totally accept the findings of the Auditor General, they were the ones that opposed the Auditor General looking into the ArriveCan scandal, as we call the Arrive Scam scandal, right from the earliest opportunity, Mr. Speaker. So the messaging is very clear in this. The ongoing Liberal Arrive Scam saga continues. It is that bad Liberal gift that just keeps on giving. Currently, the Auditor General released a scathing audit on the top Arrive Scam contractor, GC Strategies, this two-person company, basement-dwelling company, no brick and mortar, now under RCMP investigation for fraud, received a jaw-dropping $64 million from these Liberals since they took office. Now, this wasn't the first time, as I indicated, that the Auditor General released a report on GC Strategies. This was an app that was designed to be costing Canadians $80,000. That's what this same old Liberal government parroted in the House on numerous occasions. In her first report, the Auditor General made it clear that the estimate was well beyond $80,000, and in fact, it was approaching $60 million, but she couldn't be accurate. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because the paperwork and the shoddy accounting practices by the CBSA were such that she could not examine all pertinent documents. The Liberals defeated the cost of that app in this House numerous times, and quite proudly, but now erroneously, stated that it saved thousands of lives. The truth remains, Mr. Speaker, this was an app that was poorly designed, notwithstanding its price tag, always broke down, created countless misery and heartache for Canadians, and I would dare say not one Canadian was saved by this Liberal, bureaucratic, administrative boondoggle. The government's very limited defense involves the plea that the app was developed in the midst of an unprecedented pandemic, that time was of the essence. We heard that numerous times. But the unique circumstances and demands of the moment scarcely offer a fig leaf to cover what the Auditor General laid bare in that report. She's quoted, "Overall, the audit showed a glaring disregard for basic management and contracting practices throughout ArriveCan's development and implementation," said Karen Hogan. She says further, "I don't believe that an emergency is a reason that all rules are thrown out the window." She proudly concluded that the government paid way too much for that particular app. So the issue is such, Mr. Speaker, that the government has a responsibility and has the legal ability, according to a government department official responsible for contracting and outsourcing, that the Liberal government has the power to get taxpayers their money back and testify before a committee that the government is frauded. They, quote, have the ability, when the government is frauded, they have the ability to recover the funds from the suppliers, and it's in our regular practice to do so, which should telegraph to all of my Liberal colleagues that they should stand in support of this ability to ensure taxpayers get their money back. Now, I have since looked at a number of news articles, notwithstanding the member from Winnipeg's North comments that no one is talking about it. Certainly ripped from the headlines are a number of interesting stories. First, Laurie Goldstein. Heading is, "Ignoring Contracting Rules Cost Taxpayers Billions," according to the Auditor General. Federal Auditor General Karen Hogan on Tuesday reported widespread incompetence in the awarding of government contracts by the public service, resulting in billions of dollars of taxpayers' money being wasted. What's even more alarming is that everyone in the system knows it is, and no one is doing anything about it. Given that, what is the point of having an Auditor General if every time she exposes incompetence and waste, the government pays lip service to implementing her recommendations and then goes back to doing the same things that led to the issue being investigated by the Auditor General in the first place? In her latest report, the concern arises from Hogan's deep dive into federal contracts awarded to GC Strategies. This was supposed to cost $80,000. 2 minutes. Wow, that goes by fast. I could literally speak for an hour on this, Mr. Speaker. I've been involved for literally 3 years in it. So some of the key findings. 58% of the contracts examined that were awarded without tendering failed to assess whether doing so would have resulted in lower costs to taxpayers. In more than 80% of the contracts examined that were awarded without competition or with only one valid bid, government departments failed to verify that the fees paid did not exceed market rates. In almost 50% of the contracts examined, federal departments couldn't show the work was delivered even though payments were made. In 33% of the contracts examined, Mr. Speaker, federal departments couldn't show the firms contracted were capable of completing the work. In 21% of the contracts examined, federal departments lacked documentation about showing security clearances for contractors working on government networks containing sensitive information. And alarmingly, those department agencies where security clearances were not obtained included National Defense, Global Affairs, and the Department of Justice, 3 of the most important ministries that have an obligation to secure sensitive data. So in essence, she concluded that ultimately no recommendations were being made because ultimately they need to follow the basic rules which have been allowed to be not followed literally for the last 10 years, and that simply Canadians did not receive value for their money. In essence, I'm asking every member to rise, to stand up for their constituents and ensure accountability is here.